Okay, so I've been talking about albums, okay, and my life with Decca, and it first started. My first one was Release Me, and I talked about that great gentleman Marcel Stellman. So this week I want to talk about A Man Without Love, okay. Well, look at that picture. See the picture? I mean, check out those lips. I had a lot of comments about that actually. So when I recorded this particular. When I released this album, I was doing a TV show, and the writer wrote a joke about my lips, and I'm quite proud of my lips because I've got some good comments about it, but this writer wrote this joke about it. Now I'm supposed to have had wanted an Olympic-sized swimming pool built in my garden. And so the constructor and the guy that came to build the pools, he said, "So you want an Olympic-sized swimming pool built in your garden, and you want it the shape of your lips?" I said, "Yes, I do." Yeah. He said, "Well, do you want it life-size or smaller?" That's my little joke for this week. Okay. Now we'll talk about the album. Okay. It's called Man Without Love. Now, this particular song, right, is an Italian. Most of my early songs that I recorded all had Italian melodies, and they put English lyrics to it, and I got success with it. Italian melodies are very, very strong, very excellent, absolutely very strong. And this one, Man Without Love, came to me, and it went to Barry Mason, who wrote The Last Waltz, last week's song. He wrote the lyric to that. He wrote the lyric to A Man Without Love. And it seems to be a very, very popular song in my repertoire because I keep it in my show all the time. And when I do it, everybody sings with me, sings the song with me, which is rather good and nice. Now I'll talk about the rest of these songs. I Can't Take My Eyes Off You, very popular song, just put back lately, and it was a hit. And I also want to talk about From Here to Eternity, from the movie. When I went to record this song, the arranger, whose name is Johnny Harris, was a dear friend of mine, and they used to call him the maestro because he used every instrument in arrangements. I mean, we used to say, if it's a Johnny Harris arrangement, he threw in the kitchen sink. But what a genius, and a great guy. And he wrote the lyric for From Here to Eternity. If you get a chance to listen to it, have a listen to it, because I do breathing on there that is rather unusual, for a singer. And at certain points you can hold your breath, and I sing a phrase, and it goes on and on and on, and all in one breath, And I did that in the early days, and I do it now sometimes, but I used to do it in the early days a lot. And people didn't notice the breathing because it was so smooth. Although I say it myself, it was smooth and so professional. It was, nobody knew I was holding my breath for a long, long time, but I did it for reasons, I wanted people to think to know that it's different. I do something different. Now, the Johnny Harris also did another song on this album. I'll talk about the next song after From Here to Eternity, Spanish Eyes. Big song. Bert Kaempfert. Now the story about that was I got the song from Bert Kaempfert himself, and I went to his house in Spain, and he played me 3 songs, Wonderland by Night, Spanish Eyes, and of course Changes in the Night. That's right, Strangers in the Night. Well, I recorded that song, and guess who stole it? Yes, Frank took it from me. Who's going to argue with him? So anyway, he took it. He had a #1 with it. He sang it once, and he never sang it again. I wished I could find the recording I did. I can't find it. Nobody found it. I think they put it in the toilet. Yeah, because they didn't want anybody to find it again. You see, because the big man did it. Mr. Frank did a good job on it. Well, so did I. Yeah. And then there's some great songs on here. Johnny Harris did Quando 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 arrangement. What a great arrangement that is too. I told you he's a genius. And of course, to this day, it's still in my show. And guess who wrote the lyric to Quando, Quando, Quando? Pat Boone, dear friend of mine. He's a lovely man. And then, What a Wonderful World. Well, you know who had that? Louis Armstrong. He had a great big hit with that. You know, to this day, that song can be a hit again, I think. I'll have to have a word with my producer over here. Yeah. Maybe we could do that in a different style, a different something, give it a different flavor, you know, and maybe we can do something with that. And there's another song called Call on Me. Well, Gordon Mills, who used to be my manager in the early times, you know, was very clever. Not only was he good at finding songs, but he wrote good songs, and he'd always put one of his songs on the B-side of my hit songs. So he always had a plenty of cash. And here's a song, of course, my good buddy who said, by the time I get to Phoenix, you know, God rest his soul, Glenn Campbell. What a wonderful person he was, great performer and everything. He's gone. But I think I did a good job, and by the time I get to Phoenix, I think it was. And the other one, which I think is particularly wonderful song, is The Shadow of Your Smile. I used to do that in my show so many times, just the piano, you know, and I used to sing without the mic sometimes, showing off, you know. But people loved it. They loved the way I sing it with the mic about 6 feet away from me, and maybe I'll put it back in the show because I want to try and show off again. No, yeah, just for fun, you know. But I like singing great songs, and Man Without Love album was a great album for me, and all the songs on it were absolutely superb. And I still do most of these songs in my show to this day. See you next week.
I try to be the best I can and try to understand. Angel on my shoulder, the earth beneath my feet. I'm a lucky, lucky man.